Welcome back to Kerney-cation. Thanks so much for watching. We are here to talk about some of the latest theme park news. Our home park is Cedar Point, so that is actually a Six Flags Parks now. You normally see me at a theme park, but now we are here just filming this video in the basement. So thanks so much for watching. We're going to be talking about some of the biggest news at Cedar Point, and then we're also going to get into some news about the wider Cedar Fair / Six Flags chain. Some of the news that's going on in some of the other parks. And then towards the end of the video, we are gonna dive into some of the other theme park news. So thanks so much for watching, and let's get into it. All right, so let's get into it. The first thing on the list today to talk about is Cedar Point news. So this week, Winter Chill Out, the winter event where you can kind of go walk around the park. The tickets went on sale at Tuesday at 10 a.m. I joined the queue at about 10:15 a.m. and tickets were already sold out. So Winter Chill Out is for a charity. It does benefit a kid again, so all the money goes towards that charity. So it's really awesome that Cedar Point puts that event on, and it did sell out. So great news for a kid again. But this year, what was new about when the tickets went on sale, as I talked about in my last video, it wasn't a lottery. So you didn't like just, they didn't randomize and select guests to purchase tickets. You actually got in a line. So as soon as you entered the queue, you saw a screen. I think I have a screenshot. I'll throw a photo up. And then you had to wait your turn. So very similar to what you've seen at Disney World when you do have to buy like the annual pass, specialty tickets and things like that. So I think it was really great this year. So you just got in line and waited your turn. I joined at 10:15. 15 minutes is too late. So if you're watching this for Winter Chill Out 2026, get in the queue right at 10 a.m. and you should be able to get a chance to buy the tickets. But that event is on February 22nd, so we'll be keeping an eye out for some footage. We did not get tickets, but I will be sure to plug some of our friends that are going. In other news, Quaker steak. So one of the hotels, one of the Cedar Point resorts, Castaway Bay, it's actually their indoor water park. If you've never been there, I'll put one of my videos up there. We love going there. Every time you book a room, you do get tickets to the water park, but they had a restaurant called Quaker Steak, and that is actually closing. So for this year, for the 2025 season, if you are staying at Castaway Bay, it's supposed to be replaced by Famous Dave's. So if you've been familiar with the Siren's Curse roller coaster construction, Famous Dave's is right over there. So I'm curious if they're moving it as part of that construction, or just as, to get some better foot traffic in the front of the park. I have never been to the Famous Dave's in the back because you have to like leave the park, come back in. But if you are a marina guest, or if you're, riding the Jet Express from like Put-in-Bay or something like that, you might have eaten there. It's a great place to eat right there on the marina. And talking about Siren's Curse, we have not gotten a new Siren's Chronicles since we last filmed. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that on construction updates, but I didn't talk about it in my last video, but I did talk about Top Thrill 2, the No Coaster Con event. Another big shout out to Marcus Leshock. He had great coverage of that event. But when Tony, he also did speak at No Coaster Con, he did talk about an update on Siren's Curse. He did confirm that, we are likely to see testing in May. So as we've kind of thought, it's not going to be Siren's Curse is not going to be open on opening day. Really hopeful for Top Thrill 2. He also went into that some things we've already talked about on our channel, but Siren's Curse is going to be the first ride that has audio throughout the ride. So you're going to have like speakers, playing music, noise, sound effects during the ride. It's also the first ride with onboard lighting on the trains. That looked really cool in some of the artist renderings that we've seen on their website. And as you may or may not know, it is the first ride at Cedar Point to go underground. So that's kind of a big deal because Cedar Point is on a peninsula, right? You're like in the lake, you can't just dig. So you'll run into water eventually. So it's very interesting that this is the first ride to go underground. So we're gonna be keeping an eye on updates from Cedar Point on the construction progress for Siren's Curse. And a last thing, just kind of to mention on our last video, we did talk about the 2025 early entry ride list. The website updated, still no rides. We'll be keeping an eye on that, but no news on that this week. All right, so that about does it for the Cedar Point news. If you heard something else that we didn't hear, just drop that, right there in the comment section below. We'll definitely investigate and take a look at it, and we'll consider putting in our video next week. Moving on, the next step that I'd like to talk about is kind of news in the Six Flags chain. So I specifically like to focus on the Cedar Fair parks, but I've been starting to learn more about the Six Flags parks. But the first thing that I actually wanted to talk about was some of the fires out in California. So as you may have heard in major news sources this week, there's been a ton of fires destroying homes. Terrible what's going on in California. But one of the fires, the Hughes fires, actually got pretty close to Six Flags Magic Mountain. I'll throw a photo up here that actually I saw on Twitter this week. I actually saw some of the details that the firefighters used when they actually closed Magic Mountain during the Hughes fire. It did not get close enough to damage the park or anything like that, but the firefighters did use it as a staging area to combat the Hughes fire. So, and some other news that some of the major news outlets have gotten traction of is moving back out east is at the King's Dominion Park out in Virginia. So we heard this week there were some posts on social media, Facebook, from employees that a unknown amount of employees were laid off. These are full-time employees. These are not seasonal employees from King's Dominion. I've heard numbers anywhere from like 10 to 25, but basically it sounds like they came to work, they went to a meeting, and they were told that they were being laid off. So we're very curious on how staffing is going to be at King's Dominion when we go this year. We usually try and go like right when it opens during opening day, and it is King's Dominion's 50th anniversary, so I was pretty surprised that they were actually laying off employees when they have a big year ahead of them. So our hearts go out to the employees that were laid off. Obviously terrible. Six Flags did comment on the situation. They just said they're basically trying to balance the budget. I'll put a link to their statement below, trying to keep everything budget friendly and operational. So this is kind of falls in line with a lot that we've seen that's been happening since the merger between Six Flags and Cedar Fair. They're really trying to focus on when to keep parks open, how late, and a lot of data analytics are coming into play for these types of things. So it sounds like they made these cuts based on whatever information they had, but we'll be keeping an eye on staffing and let you know how it is at the park this year. And while we're still talking about King's Dominion, there were some photos that their social media page shared about Pantherian. So this is their Project 305 / Intimidator 305. This is their Giga roller coaster over 300 feet. They've been retheming it over the past year, and it has gotten some new paint. So I'll put a photo up here of that. And in other news, moving down south to Six Flags over Georgia. So I actually wish I would have went. I was down in Georgia last year before, but really wish I would have went to this park. But they are getting a new attraction this year. So you might have heard the Six Flags. It was originally called Georgia Surfer when they announced the ride, but since that time they've actually went through the merge process. So now that it's Six Flags Cedar Fair, the new name for this attraction is the Georgia Gold Rusher. So really a complete 180 on the theming, but it definitely sounds like a Cedar Fair name to me. Like merger happened and they're like, no, we're gonna name it this and theme it. It sounds like it has a better theme, honestly, like 1885, Gold Rush, everything like that. And so we also, this week was a big week because we got a couple of park opening dates. So a lot of the parks don't really announce when the park is gonna open for the following year until a few months out, 3-4 months out. But we already did get Cedar Point opening day, which is May 3rd. But we also got 2 other parks this week. So we got Kings Island, which is April 19th. They are doing a pass holder preview on April 18th. And we also got Canada's Wonderland. So they will actually be opening May 8th. I haven't heard anything regarding a pass holder preview for Canada's Wonderland, but I think they're opening on like a Thursday. I'll have to double check, but it's gonna be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they're gonna have a pretty long opening weekend, opening week, which is rare, especially because we normally see like, okay, you open Saturday, Sunday, maybe for like a week or two in May, because it's usually pretty cold up north still. And that's all the news we have for Six Flags. Again, if I missed anything, you know, just comment below. I'll definitely speak to it in my next video if I can find it and research it. And if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the content. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, so thank you so much. All right, and moving out to the bigger theme park world. So if you are not aware, Universal Orlando is opening a brand new theme park, a fourth gate technically, because they actually have a water park as well, Epic Universe. So that opens May 22nd, and we did one of their hotels. They're building 3 new hotels. So the first hotel actually opened this past week, so Stella Nova. This is more of very similar to the price level of like dockside and surfside. So expect like, you know, 150 to 250 a night type of things, but we did see that hotel actually open this week, so ahead of the park. So a few content creators actually were invited out, and they did, you know, get some content of it that we did consume. It looks like the hotel did have a few hiccups. It looks very cool from the outside, but there were some like water leaks and things like that. Kevin Heimbach actually had some pretty good content about his stay at Stella Nova. Again, they just opened. It sounds like there's a few hiccups, but we're gonna be keeping an eye on Stella Nova as we get closer to Epic Universe opening day. I also like during, I think it was during the content creator event, or it was opening day itself, but they had Men in Black there. They had a couple, you know, characters there, Men in Black. They had a couple of the trolls there. It was pretty cool, which the hotel overall isn't themed like to any characters, but it was cool that they brought out some characters during that event. And another, like the hotel overall is kind of themed to space. They had a couple astronauts there too. And what's interesting about the hotel is that it was either the first or second floor is so tall that the second/third floor doesn't have any rooms, and it just has a hallway. I'll put a photo up here, and they put like on the ceiling just like a bunch of stars. I think they call it like the Bridgeway or something like that, but it's pretty cool. Again, like I don't know if I'm gonna like spend a lot of time if I stay there checking out a hallway, but it could be like serve as a like way to get across the resort, right? But they did theme it. They have like glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. It was pretty cool. And speaking of Epic Universe, they did release this week. So if you are like a resort guest at Universal Orlando and you plan on going to Epic Universe, you do get early park entry. So I think it's up to 1 hour for Epic Universe, but they did announce the rides that will be participating in early park entry. So it won't be the whole park, like you can't just ride any ride, but it's mostly gonna be in Super Nintendo World. So you're gonna have the Mario Kart ride, the Bowser ride. You're gonna have the Donkey Kong roller coaster, Yoshi, and you're also gonna have Starfall Racers. So that's actually out in Celestial Park. So mainly focusing on Super Nintendo, most of the rides are gonna be, but they're also gonna have their big roller coaster, Starfall Racers, as available for early park entry. So that'll do it for us this week. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, let us know below in the comments and smash that like button. And again, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this real family staycation. We'll see you next time.